welcome to A Gem of a Secret podcast. My name's Donatella My Secrets.
And my name is Coco Gem Holiday.
How you doing today, Coco?
We actually just got a housekeeper today.
Yeah.
Gosh, that sounds really bougie. I don't know why it did, but it did.
Very nice. Very nice to have.
I know, it's so exciting because my life has been so busy because of drag and life, and then specifically life and depression.
Well, yeah. Starting this on such a fun note, aren't we?
As usual.
But yeah, no, it's super nice to have a clean space for sure.
Oh yeah, it helps like clear your thoughts. I mean, everybody knows that like when you clean your bedroom, like it helps with the depression in general. And like, so this is just helping us with more of our spaces being healthy for us to thrive and grow as individuals and not be depressed.
Yeah, that's a good reminder that I need to clean my room. It brings in like new energy. I did take some steps and I changed the water for my Morimo moss balls yesterday. Yes, I'm a hippie. I like having like little tiny plants that I talk to.
She does.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't have plants because I don't have time for them to die. Sorry, to water them.
Succulents are good for that.
Yeah, I feel like they would be, but I would totally forget that thing in general. Like it.
Yeah.
I just would.
Yeah.
But I do want goldfish. I want goldfish back so bad.
Yeah, you did have that fish tank.
I did have that fish tank. I sold it though for like $80.
Do you like goldfish? Is that like your go-to fish to get?
No, I mean kinda. I like betas.
Yeah, you should get a beta and give it like the proper enclosure it's supposed to have because contrary to popular belief, betas aren't supposed to be like raised in vases like people think they are.
Yeah, they're actually. I think they need. I'm gonna probably say it wrong. I think they need 20 gallons.
They
No.
need a decent amount for sure. Because they are a tropical fish that is used to a wider enclosure. They're not used to thriving in.
Yeah, and so when you see those betas that are in those like Tupperware things, like those butter tubs at the store, like that's not what they're used to.
Yeah, and also they're supposed to have filtration too. A lot of people don't add filtration into beta tanks. We're just going off on a whole tangent here, aren't we?
Yeah, so this episode's about fish.
It's about fish. It's about pets. How I can't have a cat because Coco's allergic.
I know, I'm so sorry. And those little rat things that are called cats, those sphinx things, I do not want one of those.
They are very oily from what I hear.
Ew,
Yeah.
that is worse.
I know,
Ah.
kind of. I want, I think a Siberian cat would be good. They're hypoallergenic. They are very furry, but they tend to be like the most hypoallergenic out of cats that actually have fur. They are originally just like forest cats that come from the Russia's snowy forests.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And they're more like dogs than they are like cats. Well, they're very... they're the dogs of cats is what they call them.
They're the dogs of cats.
Yes.
That's funny. Yeah, so I forgot to ask, Donna, what are you wearing this evening?
I took a page out of the Broadway musical Cats, and I am just dressed as Mr. Mistopheles.
Oh,
Yeah.
party. I did not take a picture out of that book or a page out of that book because I'm allergic to cats. But what I did was I poured a whole tub of glitter into a bathtub, and then I just jumped in it with full body on, and so I am beautiful.
Yeah, our housekeeper's going to have an issue with that.
And also, I clogged the drain. But yeah, that's one. Oh, but I have a beautiful headpiece, so gorgeous.
And
Like,
scratched your cornea because, glitter gets everywhere.
yeah, it's the herpes of the craft world.
Ugh.
By the way, I said that at work, and the straight boys thought that was the funniest thing they've ever heard in their life.
Have they never heard that before?
No, and I'm just, God, straight
Ugh,
boys are so
straights.
weird.
Uh,
Learn how to
I
wipe your butt.
interviewed for a job with a bunch of straight men. It was a warehouse job, I'm trying to embrace my inner butch. And it was very awkward. He didn't keep eye contact with me the entire time. And I did not hear back from that job.
I wonder why.
I don't know. I guess the purses just fall out when I open my mouth.
So we have another interview episode for you all. But before we get to that, of course, I have to ask, like I always do, Donna, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, Coco, I will let you know after this brief commercial break.
Do you wear t-shirts? Do you wear a face mask?
I sure as hell hope so.
Do you put on your silly little t-shirt and your silly little face mask and wish you had something a little more out there?
Yes.
Even something, dare I say, matching?
Girl, yes, duh.
Then it looks like HunterDrips.com is exactly what you need. At HunterDrips.com, socially relevant merch and apparel is up for sale. That's never for profit. 50 to 100% of every purchase is donated.
I hear they carry matching shirts and masks with designs that say cute little slogans like defund the police, Black Lives Matter, and it goes over your nose. And even shirts and hats with your own pronouns on them. You know, things that are important.
Oh, so you mean important. And almost all of it is donated?
Yes, donated. And guess what?
What? It's size inclusive too?
Yes, up to 5XL. Why just make clothes for skinny people? It's all made by Queer Artist Girl. The creator of HunterDrips.com is trans, fat, lesbian, and the site also includes merch from other queer artists, including gay Portland rapper Tono.
Listeners, head on over to HunterDrips.com and use the code SECRET for 15% off your purchase today.
That's SECRET for 15% off your purchase at HunterDrips.com.
It's a podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast. Tune into What They Tell You podcast with Coco and Donatella podcast.
Well, Coco, I am feeling great because in the studio with us today we have an interview for one of the first times in a long time that we've had a guest in our studio with us. We have the one, the only, the newcomer to the Portland drag scene, Babylon Brooks. Hi, Babylon.
Hi,
Hello,
Babylon.
friends. How are you?
Doing well, doing well.
We're
How
doing
are
so
you?
good.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, we're happy to have you.
Yes, as the new queen to the city, what were your first impressions when you started breaking into the drag scene here?
I was just like, oh my gosh, everyone's horrible. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean,
No,
fair.
It was definitely, so I'm from Texas. I started drag in the eastern part of Texas. I was in East Texas and Shreveport, Louisiana. One of the bars that I was performing at was one of Chi Chi DeVane's home bars in Shreveport.
May she rest in peace.
Yeah, may she rest in peace, Chi Chi. We love you. Texas drag versus Portland drag is very, very different. I'm super glad to be here, though. I feel like this is a little more in line with the kind of stuff that I was wanting to do.
I was going to say, I feel like you fit the Portland drag aesthetic a bit better.
Yeah, you have a very
than...
eclectic style.
I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
Still collecting little bits and pieces of everything that I'm trying to grow,
Are there many other bearded queens in Texas?
No.
No.
Like, I was an oddity
Yeah.
there, being the bearded queen. Like, the one time that I performed, like, one of the first times that I performed at one of the bars in Texarkana, Texas, they treated me like I was the fucking messiah because they'd never seen something like that before.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, this is not that weird. This is not that uncommon. Calm down.
I know that you could find bearded drag in Austin because we definitely
Yes.
saw some of that at Austin. Emesis from Austin. Is she still in Austin?
Yeah, she's still in Austin.
That's cool.
I love her.
Bohemian
She's so
Rhapsody
great.
in Austin. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, but I guess that would make sense that in the smaller areas there's probably not much bearded drag and it's probably
No.
kind of looked at differently from other styles of drag.
Definitely.
Yeah.
When you started drag, did you ever shave when you started?
No, because I did drag the first time kind of on a whim, not thinking that it would be something I'd stick with, and I was like, I'm not gonna shave for this. If this is just gonna be like a one-time thing, and here we are.
Several years later. Actually, how long have you been performing?
My first time performing in drag was June 1st of 2019. So
Oh, wow.
not quite 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Wow.
You are definitely a baby queen. Do you ever feel really intimidated by people when you're at a show because you're so new?
I wouldn't say I feel intimidated really. There are a lot of people that I really admire, especially of the people that I've met and become friends with here so far in the scene. But no, because I'm not doing a lot of the stuff that they're doing. A lot of them aren't doing the things that I'm doing. I know where my strengths are, but I'm also comfortable with myself enough to not be intimidated by someone else's talent, I
That's
think.
such a great way to look at it, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I think we all have very different lanes that we're in as far as our styles and our aesthetics go. And it's so important to be successful to not compare yourself to other people.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like when I started, I did a lot of comparing
of myself to other queens that I would see, because Coco and I both came from like a smaller area of Colorado. So when we would go to Denver or like perform with some Salt Lake queens or anything like that, I always felt like so lower on the totem pole because there was just such a longer like glow up period that I had.
Yeah. I mean, and I definitely feel that there are times where I'm just like, okay, I'm definitely still growing and still learning. I'm still in my, maybe not the cocoon phase, but I'm still growing as an artist and still trying to find all the, you know, little nuanced parts of Babylon. But I definitely, so in that regard, I do definitely compare myself to be like, okay, this person's definitely at this moment got a stronger cohesive look than me. They've got a stronger performance style, but they've also been performing 3 times longer than I have.
Yeah.
So I try not to let that get to me.
Like get down on yourself about it.
I mean, I look at someone like Autumn, who is Autumn Rain's Heart, love her to death. She's a couple years younger than me. She's also been doing this her entire life. Like she's been doing the kind of drag that she does for like a decade.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
I'm not gonna look beautiful like Autumn is. I'm not gonna dance like Autumn does. But I've also not been doing the things that I do the same amount of time that she has. So I'm trying my best not to compare in that way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's fair.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like, so for me, like since we were transplants too, like we went through that, of course, and like I was really, because the way that we performed is like we were like the top queens in our city for a very long time, and so when I moved here, I had so much confidence that I wasn't intimidated necessarily by other people in the scene, as I realized that like I couldn't get the bookings I wanted to get or couldn't merge into the shows I wanted to do. That's when like the intimidation factor probably started a little bit. And like the other thing too is I recognize like where I falter and where other people are better than me and how that operates, and I think that it pushes me to be better, I suppose.
Yeah.
Versus like keeping me in like some depressive slump over the fact that like they're better.
You can let it intimidate you, or you can let it inspire you.
Yeah.
And so I
absolutely.
try my best to do the latter.
Yeah.
And to let it, okay, so I've seen this person perform. What about them do I really like? Okay, I like that they do this, and this. How can I modify that into my own brand to try and better myself as a performer, as an artist?
Yeah.
So, where did your drag name come from?
So so I've had a few names. I settled on Babylon Brooks because that's what the name my drag mom gave me.
Yeah, Babbling Brook.
Really like a babbling brook, exactly.
Oh, didn't get that.
Yeah.
No,
Oh well, here you go.
How? You never
What?
did.
I
To
don't
be
get
fair,
puns.
I didn't get that at first for a while. It was a couple months, and I was like, "Oh, that's what she meant." Okay, cool. But
Yeah.
I'm from the Brooks family in East Texas, which if you know Nicole Paige Brooks from Drag Race,
Yes.
she's from somewhere in that entire big dynasty of the Brooks dynasties where
cool.
we're all from. And they're a staple in East Texas and Western Louisiana drag.
So what were some of your first names?
So my very first drag name that my best friend gave me the day that I performed for the first time was Spinda Dreidel.
Yikes. I
love it.
I hate that.
Because I thought, oh, this is going to be, the one-time thing. I'll just have like a stupid name. It'll like
Yeah.
make all my friends in the audience like laugh. And then here we go. But then I was like, I'm going to do this again. Let's not use that name anymore.
Yeah.
And then I was Blueberry. I was Blueberry.
Blue, like, was it a first name and last name, or was it just one name?
Just one thing. I was just like, oh, Blueberry.
Why?
Because I always heard the thing like your drag name or your porn name or
lemon.
whatever needs to be like your first pet's name and the street you grew up on. So it was Blueberry Balloway. And then I was like, I'm just gonna drop the. It was fine, but then I dropped it because I was like, that's a little cutesy. I didn't think that's where I was going.
Mine sounds like a male porn star name, so mine wouldn't have worked for a drag name. Mine would have been Duke Sequel.
Duke Sequel.
That's hot.
Yeah, right?
That's hot.
I know,
That's
it kind of
we know.
is.
Okay, so check out Donna's OnlyFans Duke Sequel collaborations with
Yes.
Blueberry Balloway.
And mine sounds like the name of like some pop star. Mine was Coco Arizona.
Ooh.
Okay,
Yeah, which is actually kind of a
Coco
fun.
was your first pet's name too?
Yeah.
is that how you
Dang.
got your drag name, Coco? Oh,
No. And actually, it's funny because every time I say it, I forget that I'm actually named Coco because the name actually never clung to me. It just
Yeah.
was what I went by, and then I just didn't change it because changing your drag name is really hard of a process to do, especially when you get established.
When you're in the game for a while, it is hard to change
Oh,
that
it's
branding.
very
And it is
difficult.
probably the most common first name in the drag community.
Yeah, which also I didn't realize because I was doing drag in a small city. But yeah, mine came from the fact that one of my best straight friends used to call me Coco Goodness whenever I would talk to him on the phone. And so when I started, I was Coco Galore because I thought the name Galore sounded regal.
Yeah.
And then I saw a queen in Vegas
With the last name Holiday.
with the last name Holiday, and I love Jennifer Holiday.
Love that.
And then I just added Gem from Gem and the Holograms for no apparent reason other than the fact that I like it. It didn't even flow. But I just was like, well, I'm going to go by Coco Gem Holiday.
You could just go by Gem Holiday.
I thought about that for a long time.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I like the name Gem.
I mean, I think a 3-name drag queen, like, I think that does kind of flow sometimes, though. Like, it's established, like, Coco, Gem, Holiday, a 3-name.
Everybody, because they amplify it as they go, like
Yes.
they do, like it's a crescendo. And so I've liked that aspect of it. I like that in this city, people have really like caught onto the holiday part of it, which I think is funny. Because we can come from a place with drag queens, so we didn't know what they would do with our names.
Yeah.
And so living
Oh,
here has
yeah.
like really let us know like what people would tease us about or look at it with and things like that. And I've actually kind of enjoyed the name more than I ever did in Colorado.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it makes me feel really regal, and I like seeing it on posters because my name's Alonga.
That's fair.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, I don't know, it's just little things. So, getting back to you.
Yes.
So, do you have any beef with anybody?
Have a beef? I have a beef with Coco Gem Holiday. No.
Because her name's so long.
I remember when we were joking that I was gonna like start a fake drama with you and be like, "There's beef," and like post like a picture of like a cow.
I'll mediate
Like,
it.
yeah. Do I? I mean, I have a beef with somebody, but they're not them as like a performer, just somebody's behavior at the club. You know
Yeah.
about this that we've talked about. I'd maybe not go into too much detail, but some inappropriate behavior backstage. That being okay. Here's the thing, y'all. I recognize that I am a cute boy out of drag. Like I'm a conventionally attractive, like tall hipster dude with a beard, and I've been in a room with a lot of thirsty drag queens, like getting changed, and sometimes they feel like they need to get a little close and personal.
Yeah.
And most of the time I let it slide, but that one person took it a little too far, and then some other things happened. Without going into too much, but that's
Yeah.
like the only beef with anyone that I've had so far. And then they're not even like, I don't even know if they're an active performer. I don't know them well enough to know
No,
their
they're not
history.
active.
So
They're not. And I what's really interesting about that, which I guess we could get into this with this interview, is like, yeah, Babylon is, because it's actually, so let me back up. So it happens to Donna too, but the thing that happens with it here versus when it happened in Colorado is people are a lot more aggressive about it here. Like, it's funny, as a PC culture, as Portland is, in the sense of like consent and like those things are really important here, you'll immediately be in a conversation with somebody drunk at the bar where they're just like, I want to go home with you, or like, I want to sleep with you, or like when you're like later at your place or whatever, I want to do these. Like, it's very aggressive. Like, it's which I know, like in queer culture, it's like we're trying to break down the taboo of not being able to talk about sex.
Yeah.
But I have noticed in Portland that it is somewhat aggressive. I've heard some of the conversations that people have had with Donna, and she just smiles and she's like, oh, okay.
I try to be very friendly, but sometimes it is
However.
off-putting. Yeah, no, sometimes it is off-putting, and yeah, it does, like, I get uncomfortable, but I am very diplomatic when it comes to, like, strangers, so I try to be as, like, friendly as possible, and most of the time I do give them a pass in the situation, but I just have a problem being aggressive in those instances, you know? Like, I have a
Yeah.
hard time, like, setting boundaries in those instances
that's
for some
totally
reason.
fair. And like, I don't think that there's an issue with being direct. Like, if someone was like, "Hey, you're cute. Can I suck your dick?" I'd be, you know what? I appreciate how direct you are and asking for what you want, and it's directly in line with, you've given me the answer. You've given me the opportunity to give you a yes or no answer,
T.
and we
Yeah.
don't have to skate around the like, oh no, I don't know. Just if you want something, if you want to get sexy with me, ask me, and I'll say yes or I'll say no.
Yeah,
You heard it
let's,
here,
and
ladies
that's
and
usually
gents.
the approach that I try to take in in regards to most things, not just sex, but just like, hey, can we talk about this thing? Like, this is an issue right now. Let's talk about it. Let's get this done, because I don't have any time for lack of a better term, for pussyfooting around an issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I get that, and it has happened to you, and I think it's because you're new. Like,
that's fair.
Anytime because I've been seeing you interact with like new drag artists as they just like pop up at local, because local's popping right now, and like you'll sit down at a table with somebody, and like the way that they just aggressively hit on you, which I'm not really calling anybody out for doing that, but like I've also noticed that like it does, they kind of pussyfoot around it a little bit and things like that, and people will be like, do you remember that post that went online about somebody who took a picture of you who was a drag queen? And they're like, who is this?
Like, who is this person? They were so helpful. I was like, I didn't help you at all. Who are you again? Like, you just came up to me and took a selfie and then posted that selfie.
I know what you're trying to do here.
It was so funny.
And no shade to that person. I still have not interacted with them. They still have not messaged me. Like, but if you want to get after it, just send me a message and ask me if you want to get after it, and I'll give you an answer. So I mean, there have been a couple of people that have reached out in that sort of way, and I'm like, thank you so much for just asking me.
So kind.
Does it happen often to you when you're like all done up in full geesh, or however you want to put it? Because I feel like it happens more to me when I am in drag than when I'm out of drag. I mean, it does happen when I'm out of drag, but for some reason, for the longest time, especially coming from where we came from, there wasn't a whole lot of people in the queer community that would like hit on me, but straight dudes, like all the time, straight dudes or bi dudes or like anyone that had like a question in their sexuality, I was like a magnet for these guys.
A straight man has never hit on me in drag. I mean, and the day it happens, I don't know, I'll claim Jesus Christ as my savior. I'll fucking climb Mount Everest.
And that makes a lot of sense, because Donna, my straight coworkers, this always happens to Donna, by the way, and just since I've known her, they were watching our introvert show, our online drag show that we had for a while, and literally, and I always just finish the sentence. They're like, so I wanted to tell you something. I was like, you think that Donna's attractive? Literally, it was we weren't even talking about the show. I just offered it.
You know?
I just immediately knew. I don't know how they say it, and this was in text.
I do wonder why, when I'm like more femme presenting, that people are more attracted to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just more like, I don't know. Maybe I'm more authentic in that sense.
A lesbian explained it to me. I guess you proportion yourself correctly when you're in drag. There's no, like, you don't go for the D cups. You know, your hips are proportional. It doesn't look like your ass is too much bigger than your hips. Like, they said the body looks really proportional. Like, you look like a woman is what it is. And then because you do fierce things, like, you have that strong, confident. Like, my lesbian friend, she's like, Donna just looks like she'd, like, kill you, but you like want to make out with her a little bit.
That's the goal. I like being like a Black Widow.
That's what all the boys go for in their fantasy.
Yeah, they want to be beat up by me, but also, like, you know, roll around in the bed with me too.
That's hot.
Yeah, well, and she also wears skin tight things.
Always.
In drag.
Lycra, bodycon.
That's hot. That's hot. But I mean, and I don't know if it's because of the beard or the fact that I don't always wear wigs, or I show off my hairy chest a lot. So I don't know if that's something that's like, the fantasy is often lost because I'm not going for
fantasy is lost on Babylon.
I mean, because I'm not going for. That's just not the look that I'm going for, and like I admire so much that you can be that beautiful woman.
Well, thank you.
That'll never be me.
Yeah, and it's true though. I've never been hit on by straight people whenever I decided to do my bearded drag here. I only really started doing it here, and I don't get hit on whenever I have a beard. And I think it's because, like, people can appreciate the artistry of the bearded drag, but I don't think it's necessarily always something that they want to go home with. Like, they want people to have that full illusion, which is, honestly, I think it's problematic and small-minded thinking. But at the same time, I mean, I know we're just talking about attractiveness level. I mean, most of us don't do our art for the sexual attraction of others. But based on topic.
Yeah, based on the topic.
I mean, we all like looking beautiful. Yeah. And some of us, that beautiful ends up looking more like a stereotypical, like, passing woman.
Right.
I'm putting that in air quotes, passing woman.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
that's a whole
because
other extra conversation.
It
to
is
have over
another
there.
conversation for
So,
sure.
have you seen any in Portland? Because I know Diana Fire brought this up a lot because she's a bearded queen.
Mm-hmm.
Have you noticed it hurting your bookings in any capacity for being a bearded queen here in Portland?
Here's the thing. I think so. I started drag the summer of 2019. I performed once. I didn't perform again until January of 2020, and I think I could count on one hand the amount of shows I had before COVID shut everything down. So I've already, in the 3 months or so that I've been performing here in the city, I've had probably twice over the amount of shows and performances that I had in all of that I had in Texas. So if anything, I don't really have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the like, and I'm not saying this like facetiously or being full of myself, like I'm getting so many more bookings than I expected to be getting, being so new to the city. I'm just so thankful to have any at all, especially with COVID. I'm like, I don't have anything to compare it to, so I really don't know.
I don't think that this is a city that you have to really worry too much about being like ostracized or like, discriminated against in any sense as far as like the entertainers that they're looking for if you're a bearded queen. I think that Portland is a very safe city for being a bearded queen.
It honestly seems like, what are you bringing in your performance? What are you bringing in your look? Like, just how strong of a performer are you seems to be the overwhelming reason why you're booked or not.
Well, yes and no. So it depends on what scene you're in. Like, if
Like the artistic side or the...
Yeah, kind of a little bit, like, not to say any shade, but I don't see a lot of bearded queens being booked at Darcel's.
No.
Like, stuff like that. So it can hurt your bookings, but there's this scene I feel is growing to where there's so many really large outlets for drag that appreciate all types of drag. And
That's
I think
fair.
that's beautiful. Because I do remember Diana years ago before I moved here talking that, people didn't necessarily love what she had to offer. And I know that Diana's a great performer. She did say it might be due to her beard and stuff like that. But Summer Rain, for instance, who is gorgeous.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Whew, good lord, she knows how to paint.
She's a glamour queen with a beard.
Gosh,
yeah.
she's gorgeous. I can't even. But yeah, now she's doing hair too, and like she's the full package.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and I don't think it's necessarily hurt her bookings. I don't see her perform a lot. Yeah, I don't think it's hurt her bookings in any capacity.
That being said, I've also only performed at local.
Well, that's because there was no other place to perform until like last week.
And I've become friends with pretty much all of the producer. Like, that was not my intention in becoming their friends, but like I've become friends with almost all of the producers at local, and that was the first bar that I was like invited out to. Like, literally how I got into the scene was it was just happened on a whim, because your drag daughter Touche Douche posted in like one of the like million drag Facebook groups that are out there, oh hi, and like posted some pictures and said, oh, I'm Touche Douche and I'm a queen in Portland, blah 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 blah. And I commented, I was like, oh, let's be friends, I'm in Portland too. And I had already lived here for like 6 months during COVID and hadn't really gone out or done anything.
Yeah.
And she immediately sent me a message and said, what are you doing tonight? My drag mom is hosting a karaoke night, a sing-along. You should come and drag and meet everybody. And I came out and I sang a song at karaoke, and she booked me for her show that day after I walked off the stage.
Oh,
That's
so
cool.
sweet of her.
That's
And
really cool.
I love Touche for that, because like Touche, I love you for all of her faults, for all of her shortcomings. I'm so thankful that happened, because like I probably would have, because I was scared to, like, I was just like, I also spent a lot of quarantine trying to figure out what is makeup supposed to look like on a human being.
Yeah, absolutely. That's some tea.
Because Mama was looking rough when quarantine
yeah, I did see
started.
some photos from the start there.
You didn't have to agree.
She looked rough. Listeners, I saw the pictures. I'll find one. They'll be on the website at gemofsecretpodcast.com.
I'll send it to you. But I was just like, I don't know if I'm like ready to go out, to be out here. Like, my first appearance, like, is that going to set the tone for the rest of my like potential performing career in Portland? How is that going to be? But honestly, like, I got up on stage, and then you and Autumn were hosting that night, and you gave me like a little interview on the mic, and from then on it's just kind of like taken off, and I've met so many friends that night.
That's
And it's
cool.
all because of y'all three.
Thank you.
That's really
I drink
cool.
too much. I don't remember any of that. That's funny because I even met Adam at a karaoke, and I do remember the circumstances. But if somebody told me like, "Oh no, I was there that night," I'm like, "No."
So I can't really comment on like has the bearded thing like kept me from performing, because I don't know. I've been lucky enough that I've always had like a show or two to be preparing for since I started.
Yeah, and now you're on cast at Drama Camp.
And I'm on
which is-
cast now.
Yeah, that's actually really exciting because
Yeah.
new people like you don't get that opportunity.
And
It's just not a reality.
and big thanks to Rogue Storm Safari for like she saw me I performed Flushed in January that Touche booked me for, and I like had gone downstairs and I changed and I came back up and she was out of drag, Rogue was, and said, "What are you doing on Thursday? Do you want to come be our like special guest at Drama Camp?" And I was like, "Sure." And then I did it again in February, and then she asked me to audition for the March show. I did, and here we are. That
That's
was
so exciting.
it's just kind of taken on a life of its own, and I'm super fucking thankful for it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, absolutely. Always remain humble and be grateful because those opportunities are actually kind of rare, and your circumstances are a little bit of an anomaly.
I'm counting my blessings because I am so fucking thankful. I didn't expect for everybody to be so nice so quick, and maybe that's because I'm cute. I don't know, but it's. I mean, because you and I have had that conversation before as well.
Well, because it's true. I have
You'll learn that they're all monsters over time.
that's
Oh, I've already
gee.
accepted that about a few people.
So, one thing I wanted to bring up actually is, so you know that a lot of drag queens don't sing, right?
Yeah.
But you're a singing queen.
Mm-hmm.
Are you nervous about the adversity you might face from being a singing queen?
Not really, because ultimately that's the kind of avenue that I want to take my drag. Like I can dance, kind of. I can, but if I guess more than anything, like take Drama Camp this week, for example, a couple of days ago, I did a number that was a little left field. I sang "Touch Me" from Spring Awakening, but I did it.
So good.
I love that song so much, and I
favorite
did it
musical.
dressed kind of as a boy. I still had my face on, but I did it in a suit, and I had like I went to Goodwill and I bought this gray suit, and my mom and I hemmed the pants to make it like the schoolboy outfits that they wear in the musical. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to translate super well, and I'm still not sure if it did for the audience that was there, but I know that for the other drag artists that were there, a lot of them were super complimentary.
I think that type of experimentation is something too that you don't really have to be worried about as much here. I think that drag, even if there are like a mix of masculine and like feminine elements in it, like it's still drag, and it's still like your form of the art and the way that you're presenting yourself. And I don't think that you should get hung up as much on like if other people are going to receive it super well. I think you should mix both elements of masculine and femininity in your performance, and you know, as long as you're doing what you're doing and enjoying it, like it doesn't really super matter if the more traditional old school queens don't love it. That's something that I had to learn. So I think that you should go forward with that and not worry about the reception.
Yeah.
I'll
I
keep
think
that.
so.
I'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah.
Courtney Ack was the first person I talked to about singing in drag.
Little name drop right there. Little
Courtney Act.
She's probably the nicest person still that I've met off of Drag
seriously.
Race. She talked to
She
us
was
for
so sweet.
She gave us so much of her time.
Yeah, and she was pleasant and kind and
Yeah.
tiny little thing. She basically said, she's like, "Oh, I didn't even know that stigma existed." Is basically about the singing queen thing, and she's like, "Well, screw 'em." She's like, "I'm doing what I want."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Love that."
Yeah.
Because I remember a show I did in Denver once. The host actually said right before I went to go sing to do my number, she's like, "Normally I don't like singing queens." She's like, "But this queen is actually decent enough," and like, and whatever. And I know she was joking, but she was also kind of being a little serious. And like the thing is, I've started singing more in Portland because as I age, singing is actually easier than trying to do all the Bucky dance numbers.
That's that is
Yeah, because you can just let your voice do all the work for you in a really great way, especially. And I've been learning new numbers and trying to be dynamic. what I've recognized with that though is Portland is a little bit more receptive to that.
Yeah.
I had a show here once when I sang both my numbers where somebody was like, I didn't realize this was like karaoke. And I was just like, well, it's not like I write music. Like, like, I mean, I can write music, but it's not like I want to. I'd rather just sing a song live that instead of lip syncing to it because I think that I can give you more emotion behind it.
And fuck them. You know what? Like, Real Housewives can get up on their fucking like shows and do like a whole cabaret of other people's songs, but drag queens can't do that. Like, shut up.
I know people
And like,
so critical.
Think of someone like Polly Pop-Tart, who is a trained gymnast.
Yeah.
She brings that into her drag because she's been doing gymnastics her entire life, and she's trained to do that. I have a degree in music.
Yeah.
I taught music.
Yeah.
I have been singing my entire life. If it's something that I'm good at, why not exploit that?
Yeah.
I'm going to exploit my talent to perform the best that I can. And if the best avenue and like thing that I am in live performance is singing, then why wouldn't I do it?
Yeah, exactly. Right? I think that makes a lot of sense. And then as you learn more skills, you keep adapting more and more of those things into it. And
like, is Bianca Del Rio not a drag queen because she does stand up? Because she's been doing stand up her entire life?
She doesn't really do like lip syncing. She doesn't really like it. She hosts and she does stand up.
Like that was, I know there's a whole conversation online about like Rose and Denali, quote unquote, weaponizing their BFAs.
Their BFAs.
And I'm just like, I mean, I can't speak for anyone else. I'm absolutely weaponizing my BFA because Lord knows it's not getting put to use any other way.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's true. It's true though. Like so even on a lot of drag queens in this city, like, talk about my hustle in a specific way, which is kind of because I'm very forthcoming with the fact that I have a business degree, and like drag is a business to me, and I always go forth that way. There's a lot of entertainers in the city who are artists first, business people second. But
I'm one of them.
Yeah, I put my business first because it ends up because the hustle. That new queen hustle is very similar to what I do, but like I come at it with a well-rounded thought, like about this is what I can give you and this is how much money I can make you, and then this is the credentials to back it up. When a new queen is like, hey, like I have like Autumn and Touche to a degree. Like, even though Autumn's not a new queen, she asks for gigs and hustles like a new queen, and so does Touche. They're always like, this is the show, this is how much money I can make you, and blah, 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 blah. But sometimes it's not sustainable, or the idea doesn't really come follow through and stuff like that. And so I even put that out there. I give people the numbers of how much drag costs. I never see people do that. Like, people don't, like, want to expose how much drag costs and how much we make. Our podcast, almost like every episode for the first like year we did this, I would always name drop with the fact that drag queen's only really like a great booking for a drag queen is $50.
Yeah.
Like, and people just don't realize that.
I never got a paid booking until Touche booked me for that show. I'd never, like, I got tip spots or I was performing for like charity gigs for my drag parents. And that was it.
Yeah. And it's still a lot of work. That makeup's expensive.
It is.
The makeup's expensive. The outfits are extremely expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does end up kind of paying for itself at a point once you get enough of a collection for yourself and the skill set developed to kind of provide for yourself.
Yes.
But it is the most expensive hobby, and it's like, although you're a business queen, drag is not a great business model. It's really not.
What does Trixie say? It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. No. It's a get-poor-long scheme.
Yeah.
Poor-long scheme. That's funny.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah. I feel like drag, right now, drag is very much paying for itself because I've accumulated a lot. And
well, look at you.
I know. I had to put in the time and energy. But, like, no, drag is I'm making enough money to where I can start buying some new things. Finally. But I will admit, I was also that queen, which is actually why some queens didn't really like me in this city, is because I did talk about the fact that, like, every gig in this city was super free. Yeah. And then even some of the East Side girls who would attack me online about it, they're like, what are you talking about? I get paid for all my gigs. And I was like, because of the shows that you are in.
Yes.
Like, I am new, and like it was tip spot after tip spot after tip spot, and I performed 30 times in a month, and like half of them were tip spots because I was trying to get my name out there.
And all drag is valid, but not all drag is good.
Yeah, also that's some tea.
How dare you? No, I'm just kidding.
That's so much tea.
That's the thing, because
Say it to my face,
you
Donna.
also no, because Coco in that instance when she was talking about that got attacked for like drag can be cheap. My outfit was $3, and I was like, well, it looks like it. But you know, like it's all about too, like the standards that you set for yourself too, and that's you know that's your own thing. Like great, like if you want to like be that crafty queen, and I have a lot of the times been that crafty queen where I have to repurpose something in order to get something new out of it, you know, or I'll rip up an old outfit,
Haven't
or
we
bleach
all?
it, or you know, like you do have to have that skill set, and that's also part of being a queen, I feel. And I think what a lot of Drag Race is missing nowadays,
Oh my god,
because
right?
everyone's wearing all these designers that have been bought for them. And,
There's no room for the gritty part of drag on
There's
Drag
not.
Race anymore.
No,
No.
and that's why even like with Candy Muse and how they are bringing the most ridiculous looks to this runway. Seriously, some of the most ugliest things I've ever seen in Drag Race history. And like people are like, "Oh no, it's crafty." I'm like, "That's not crafty. That is ugly." Like there is a difference. Like she paid a lot of money for that garbage that she's wearing on the runway.
Like
Yeah.
Crystal Method last year, that is a crafty queen that still is at a very high level of drag.
very
Yeah.
high level.
Like you can
yes.
tell that she made all of those things, and
Yep.
that like from probably relatively humble resources.
Yes.
But still made it work and look great. And there's stuff like that that's still missing, or like Evie Oddly, like that.
Yes.
That kind of conceptual art that is like,
I love it.
Yeah.
while being very fashion forward, you could tell that was probably not the most expensive thing in the world to
Well,
make.
even
Yeah.
Ashley Simone's outfit, like, and Simone's outfit's the whole season.
Yeah.
Like she,
The Polaroids.
the Polaroids, which I did
that
love.
furry costume had to be at least
That
$5
one
grand.
was-
Okay, the furry costume was literally she got it from a sex addict. Like I feel like there was no way that everything else she's done though. And I keep talking about her like the train look, like how she did the do rag. Oh my god! Like, she was just wearing a sweatsuit with a long do rag, but she looked amazing.
She did.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's crafty to me in the right way, and I don't know why people came
That's
after
fair.
Ross for saying the word crafty. Crafty is crafty. You are making it work without, just paying somebody to make something that looks unique.
I don't see it as an insult. I think crafty means that you're resourceful.
Yeah, absolutely resourceful. Because good heavens, and gosh, I hope she wins.
Yeah.
Oh, Simone?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I at this point I can't imagine that she won't win. I mean, obviously there have been like bigger. I also said that about Shea Coulee, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, there is the whole four challenge wins club. No
Gigi Good.
no crown. Gigi Good, Shea Coulee, her original season, is my favorite. Bimini Bon Boulash from like
Bimini Bon Boulash.
yeah. So four challenge wins and no crown.
And
That
no
it does
crown.
happen.
Yeah, I'm really so obviously. I hope the top two is between Gottmik and Simone.
I think
love
that's a
Rosé,
perfect top two.
Super love Rose,
Mm-hmm.
but like, let's be a little like dynamic.
The thing with Rosé is that she hasn't really had many weak moments at all the entire competition.
Yeah, which is alarming.
The
Yeah.
exception. I mean, and neither has Gottmik. Gottmik hasn't been in the bottom two.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rosé, with the exception of her like the very first lip
Yeah,
sync with her and
the
Olivia,
lip sync. Yeah.
has not faltered and has been safe or in the top every other episode.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, a couple more questions that I have for you as
Yeah.
we're getting towards the end of our episode. One question that we've been asking people
Mm-hmm.
is if you got into a bar fight in Portland, what drag artists in Portland would you want to back you up? And you can name up to 3.
Ooh, who would I want to back me up? Okay. Ooh, that's tough.
Oh, and why? And why?
And why? Okay. Anjay Tifa.
Oh, that's some tea.
Because first off, I love you. I love Anjay Tifa so much. And the activist stuff and the stuff that she's already putting up with out on the front lines, you know that she is a fighter.
Yeah.
And I admire that so much about her. So, Anjay Tifa. Who else? Shaniqua Volt.
Oh, God, yeah.
You're not the only one.
Oh, yeah. She's been named a couple times on that.
I love Shaniqua, and not because I think that she's I know I said that I wasn't really intimidated by a lot of people. She's probably the one person that I'm a little bit intimidated by, because if nothing else, just the prestige that comes with that name.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Oh, she is just the best
And
thing alive.
even if it wasn't a bar fight, I feel she could just be like, "Is there a problem?"
Yeah.
And that would probably settle most of
Yeah,
it.
oh gosh, every time she takes off her wig, I'm like, oh, she's gonna whoop my ass.
And then
Love her.
I don't know. I wonder if there's someone like I would be really interested to see, like, because I heard. Well, never mind. I won't go into that one. Scratch that. Never mind. Then someone. I'm having a really hard time with this, with the third person. I don't know. I'll keep it at those two. I'll keep it with NJT
I
and
think
Shaniqua
that's
Bolt.
I think that's a good
Yeah,
lineup.
that's a really good.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something positive.
Yes.
What is your plan for your drag long term?
Get rich quick, retire early.
Makes sense.
We just
toast.
got done talking about how this
I
isn't.
love these goals. These unreasonable goals.
I want to start making my own music. My initial goal with drag has kind of come back around to be my new goal again. I see Babylon as like a jazz lounge singer, keeping it chill. I think that's kind of the avenue that I fall in most, is that live vocal. And I mean, I'd like to, go into pop stuff. I'd like to go into some rock stuff too, but I'd like to start making my own music, and I want to eventually tour. And, maybe that's not like the full country. Maybe that's not all over the world, but just around the city, around the Pacific Northwest, back to Texas a little bit. I want to do that. I would love to one day be on Drag Race. If that's in the cards, I've got a lot of growing to do before that happens. There's a lot of things I need to work on before I even decide when to audition, if I do at all. But that I would love that opportunity. But I ultimately, music I think is where it's gonna take me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I guess that brings us towards the end of our episode. Thank you so much.
Thank
Baby
you for
Lon.
coming on.
Thank you for having me. I love you both so much, and
I love you too.
I just want to say this, that I was here for about 6 months in Portland before I got into the scene, and I was really, really fucking lonely. And like, my parents are here, and my parents are great. They love all of you here. My parents are always at my shows. They've met most of my drag friends. My parents are great. I have felt so much love and welcome from all of you here, and specifically the people in this household and from the people at Local. And I'm just so thankful for all of you, because I was really, really down, and I was really, really lonely for a while, and I'm just so thankful for y'all.
Well, I'm very happy that you're around, because you're one of the few people that I don't think are complete fucking monsters in the scene lately.
I tried my best.
I did say that. I was like, well, I like Babylon being around because she's not crazy.
Yeah, no, I definitely, like, a lot of the reason why I was kind of taking a break from the scene is because I was just burnt out on the social interactions I was having with people, and I wasn't really feeling a closeness, and I feel like there's a very nice, like, genuine spirit about you, and it's refreshing. So
Thank you.
Yeah,
being around.
And it has a lot to do with the transplant nature. I'm not gonna lie, because you haven't been kind of warped a little bit by how Portland interacts with each other. I literally had a conversation today with Kimber Shade, actually, who has a really bad rap in the city, I'm not going to lie, about, being problematic works like aggressive or too vocal for such a small frame of a person, even though they're a makeup artist and they're insanely talented at drag and a great host. And then I remember I was walking in the bar yesterday,
I adore her.
I was joking really harshly with Flawless, and she doesn't love that. I was joking really harshly with Kimber, but I also want to treat them like people, because what happens in this scene is that sometimes a person will get a reputation, and then suddenly it creates a barrier from people being friends with them or treating them like human creatures, because they're still just humans.
Yeah.
They might have a reputation, but they're still just humans. And we laughed and we joked and we had some insanely fun moments. And as I was talking to Kimber about it today, I said, Kimber, I was like, I was also one of the people who was insanely intimidated by you because of just your nature and your attitude. And I was like, and then I had to literally look inward and check myself and my ego, which is what I believe all of Portland and this scene needs to do.
Check your fucking ego.
Check your fucking ego. Because what happens is I looked inside and I realized it was just my insecurities that were making me treat her like she was some sort of threat to my personhood. And I had to really acknowledge that and dismantle that within myself to where I can say hi to Kimber Shade and not feel any sort of way about how she might react to it. It's just a hello. And she's a person. Guess what she's going to do? She's going to say hi back.
What a concept. I met Kimber at the Sweethearts pageant, and she was the fucking nicest person ever to me that day. Like, I walked out of my car and she was still sitting in her car, and she rolled down her window. She goes, "Did we just become friends on Facebook?" And I was like, "Whoa, who are you? What are you doing?" And she was like, "I'm loving seeing your journey, your growth." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much."
She really is one of the coolest people.
That's so fucking nice.
I love anytime that Kimber gives me her like opinions about my aesthetic and makeup, because it always does build me up so much. And coming from her, like, it just means a lot.
Let's keep that energy going forward. Yeah. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, let's go back to kindergarten. Don't say shit. Don't say nothing at all. If you ain't got nothing nice to say, shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah, agreed.
And if you if you do have something to say, be constructive about it too. You know? Be
kind.
Some people aren't always constructive. Some people, I think that's the thing, is like the scene does lack a certain level of kindness, and that's kind of why I like removed myself a little bit, because there are so many vain creatures of beauty that exist in this scene, but there's a lot of kindness that kind of goes on the back burner.
Especially when you come at me with, "Well, I'm the bearded queen of Portland." I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Who are you again?" And that's the only little bit of shade you'll hear from me.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. So thank everybody for listening.
Yep.
This has been a really great, informative episode. And thank you once again to Babylon Brooks.
Yes.
What's your social media for the kids?
You can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube is all Babylon Brooks, BABYLON BROOKS. You can follow my YouTube stuff. I'm doing makeup tutorials and makeup reviews, and I'm copying other people's makeup and trying to do more experimental stuff. The TikToks are a lot of fun and just a bunch of nonsense. And yeah, you can find me on Facebook if you'd like, is Randy Carpenter, which is
a porn star.
Which is a porn star name that I was informed of by Coco's husband that I did not realize until he said something about it. I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Randy Carpenter." I was like, "Oh, Jesus Christ, you're right."
Ooh, that Carpenter's real Randy.
You better believe
that's how the
it.
scene starts.
I built this set, and I'm a fucking this set too.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good evening.
We'll catch you next Thursday. Bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of A Gem of a Secret podcast. The hosts of A Gem of a Secret podcast are Donatella My Secrets and Coco Gem Holiday. You may follow Donatella My Secrets at Donatella_My Secrets on Instagram. You may follow Coco Gem Holiday at Coco Gem Holiday on Instagram. Original music by Touche Douche and Party Favors. You can follow them respectively at The Touche Douche and at Party Favors Music on Instagram. For more exclusive content, visit www.agemofasecretpodcast.com. That is AJEM of a secret podcast.com. Be sure to tune in every week on Thursday for a new episode wherever you listen to podcasts. If you have any comments or questions, email us at agemofasecretpod@gmail.com. Please don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe. Until next time, goodbye.